Hi, my name is Denise Henry, and I am the Director for the Center of Teaching, Learning, and Leadership here at CSU Pueblo. Today I am making a note-taking guide for a professor for her students to use to guide them through the lecture. This is going to be used as a tool to help students learn to attend to what is the important information in a lecture. So by giving them a note-taking guide with key information, we're also helping them attune to what is important in this lecture. The slides are a little bit dense, so we're taking away some cognitive load by reducing the load in their perceptual system, so they're not having to identify and interpret very quickly during the lecture while they're also trying to build their understanding of what's important. So we're peeling back some layers of complexity for them. This is a good strategy also if you wanted to flip your classes. You wouldn't even necessarily need to have to spend time recording a lecture unless you wanted to talk through it. You could provide students with the slides and a note-taking guide to front load the information for the next day. And then instead of spending class time talking through all the slides, you could spend time having students engage with the material with each other or independently in some other way, and spend more time refining understanding instead of presenting information. Okay, so here we go. I'll show you my workflow that I use for these. So I uploaded the faculty members' PowerPoint into a Google Drive folder that will house all the materials for this lesson, and that is because I'm using NotebookLM, which is a Google product, and it interacts with materials in Google Drive, but it will not take a PowerPoint. You could also upload a PDF of a PowerPoint, and that would be equivalent to loading it into your Drive so that you could get the materials into Notebook. You just have to provide the PowerPoint in a source format for the media that talks with NotebookLM. Since there may be notes in this slide deck, I just went ahead and pulled the slides into Google Drive so that way all of the information is captured, not only the slides or me having to convert to a PDF and then download up. Okay, so what I've done is I have a few materials to convert for this faculty member. So I created a little workspace in my Google Drive where I have 2 slide decks, and then I also provided a resource for Notebook to pull from about depth of knowledge, DOK, question stems. DOK is the cognitive complexity framework we're using. It is Webb's depth of knowledge. It's particularly useful in STEM. So I prefer to use this instead of Bloom's taxonomy because this doesn't look at hard or easy in questions. It looks, in the work that students do, it shifts the perspective to more of how complex is the work that the student is doing. Verbs don't define the level of complexity, it's what they actually do. And to me, that's that's an update from Bloom's taxonomy. You certainly use any complexity framework that you like, but I like to also give this to NotebookLM so that it's got some framing for what I mean about the type of questions that I'm looking for. And then I have my prompt. So I keep my prompts. I save them so that I can reuse them in future projects. I may refine them or tweak them a little bit, but once I get a prompt that I like, I save it. So this one I used over the summer with a chemistry faculty member's course. We created note-taking guides for all of their PowerPoints in that class, and so in that process, I refined a prompt that I really liked. So my prompting process is, what am I doing? What would I like the Gen AI agent to do? I would like the Gen AI agent to use the selected source material to create an active learning note-taking guide. Some little bit of context, who am I? And something about my students that may be relevant to the generation of these materials. So that's what you see in this second paragraph here. Well, it's not even really a paragraph, but the second block of text here. Then exactly what do I want the agent to do? To create a note-taking guide, I tell it about the sequence, the types of questions I want, that I want it to use, all levels of DOK. 4 is going to be a stretch in a note-taking guide. Students would actually have to extend their learning somehow, but we can hit multiple levels here below a 4. And then I ask it to build my students' understanding using scaffolded questions that increase in complexity. So I'm building in some scaffolding here in the material so that the students gradually experience more complex content. I wanted to identify the correct answer using bold text so that I can quickly identify what is correct in the without having to create a separate answer key. And then some more like style guide type stuff. I wanted to number the questions sequentially, create sections that are that have sequential numbering, and then my last sentence is make this easy for students to use in class during the professor's lecture. So I really liked the way the other note-taking guides came out after using this prompt, and so that's why I saved it. So when I reuse the prompt, the main thing that changes is the who am I and what am I trying to, what am I trying to do and who are my students? But the meat of it down here is really good. Came out really well for me. I'm sharing this resource with the faculty. This is the first time I've done one of these for them. So I added a little bit of information down below that I'll share with you also about what is depth of knowledge in case they're not familiar with that. So I have my prompt in my folder, I have my question stems, and then we're going to be working with this one. I've already created them, but let's see, we're going to go back through anyway. So I'm going to take you back through the process. But here's that slide deck. Okay, so I have the free version of NotebookLM, which allows me to create 50 notebooks with 50 sources with up to 500,000 words each. So I'm using one notebook for multiple classes right now because I want to save my free space or my resource space. So I'm just called my notebook Teaching Projects. When you very first open your first notebook ever, it will come up to this screen. This is what you'll see. And this will ask you to feed it some source materials. So the source materials I have today are in my Google Drive. So I would select the slide deck, insert it, and then it's going to appear. I'm going to deselect this, select all sources. It's going to appear over here in my source materials. So there it is. If I realize that I've duplicated a resource, really easy to get rid of them. You just tap the 3-dot menu, the little caterpillar or snowman, and remove that source. So it's easy to modify your sources over here. You can also rename them. I renamed all of Dr. Martina's sources to have her name in the front so that they would be collected together in my notebook file structure over here. So I've got my DOK system, my DOK question stems uploaded, and both of her materials, both of her slide decks. So I'll just be using them one at a time. But again, the way I added those was I went all the way to the top of this source list. You go to add. You can choose your file. Here's where you could upload a PDF of your slide deck. You can paste text. You can link a YouTube or a website, or you can select from your Google Drive. So that's the way I found the files. Once I found those files, I'm going to come over here into the area with the chat agent. NotebookLM is split into 3 panels: sources, Chat Agent, Studio. There's a lot of pre-built media styles, or I don't know, resource styles that you can create over here from the studio. I'll encourage you to play with those, and I will do a separate video on how to manipulate all of those, or use all of those resources. Okay, so here we go. Here I am going to come out, find my prompt, and just copy this text into the chat window. Ooh, I might need to refresh my screen. It looks like I've got some kind of little hiccup here. Let me just refresh. All right, oh, it's because I didn't have any sources selected. I was like, why can't I type in this chat box? I had deselected all the sources. So now I need to find the sources I want to use. So I want to use my question stems, and I want to use this number 13 slide deck. Now I can type into the chat box. That was a fun little troubleshooting sidestep. Okay, so there we go. I pasted it in. It's drawing from 2 sources. Cool thing about NotebookLM, it's not going to go out into the wide web and pull in a bunch of information that is not found in my source material. It's going to limit the content creation to what I am telling it to use. In this case, slide deck, DOK question stems. All right, so there we go. The magic is happening. If you forgot to save your prompt before you got started, you could just come back here and copy and paste it into a document. You could also create a note right here that will be saved into that other side, and that will be saved into your studio. Okay, so here we go. Here's my note-taking guide. I can skim it to see, do I like the way this looks? If I do, I am going to go ahead and jump to the bottom, copy all the text, and then come to my Google Drive, create a new Google Doc, and cut and paste. So there it is. You'll see it's already got like tags for headings. That's how it's building this sidebar structure over here. You can just close that out. So you can skim through. Do I like it? Do I not? You could start over. You could say, oh, well, it's giving me too many multiple choice questions. So I could go back and refine my prompt to say, only use 5 multiple choice questions throughout the entire note-taking guide. So you can really be specific with the type, directive with the type of resource you want to create. I'm just going to go with what I've got here. I am sending it to the faculty member to decide if she wants to use it or not. So what I'm going to do is come back over here. I'm going to just quickly get rid of this one that I didn't want to use. Okay, so I started reformatting the guide for the faculty. So I just clean it up to put some usability on it for the students. So some readability features. I change the size of a text. I use color to highlight information for students. This has the answer key in it for the faculty, so they can double check to see if the answers that it provided are correct. So what I do at this point is I've taken the faculty slide deck, put it in the NotebookLM, prompted it to create the note-taking guide, copied the note-taking guide into my Google Drive, and now I'm just cleaning up formatting. And then I'll send it over to the faculty, and they can massage it further however they like. But even without me doing this intermediary step, you see how quick it is to create a resource for your students. Okay, one other thing I wanted to show you is that I kept a document, one version of this note-taking guide that has the DOK levels in it. I'll share that with the faculty also so that they can see that there's a balance of different DOK levels. I did keep this text for students above each question set. And then I'll just delete out the DOK level. And that's because I'd like the student to know at which level they're working. I think this builds metacognition. Well, the research shows that this builds metacognition for students if they know, am I working at a factual level? Am I recalling information? You know, what level of complexity am I working at? And that helps them understand more about how to learn and what, you know, how deeply the content is asking them to engage as well. So this is a quick tutorial on how to create an active learning guide using NotebookLM. Please do reach out to me if I can be of any help at all with creating resources using generative AI.